Alright, can you hear me now? Maybe the microphone is going to work now. Okay. Uh, Hello there, Vanagon addicts. It's Ken Wolford here at Vanagon. I hope you guys can hear us. The microphone was not working there for a few minutes. Not sure what that was all about. I think I got it fixed. Steve, tell me if I got it fixed. Okay, good. Alright, it's good to have you folks out here with us today. We're just going to do a quick live stream today, I think. Unless you guys want to stay on here longer. I just wanted to see how you folks were making out there. We have been staying pretty busy here. It's been a little bit slower than it was a few weeks ago. But, of course, a lot of things have been happening this week with the weather. There's been a big snowstorm out west. And so you guys may know about that. I hope everybody is staying safe out there. My brother and his family have been having some problems and issues with, because they live in Texas, and they've been having problems with their power and not having, power and that kind of stuff. Here in New Jersey, we've had a couple ice storms where I'm at, but so far everything has been able to stay on power-wise, and it hasn't been super cold. It's just been a little bit cold, so we've been able to get our orders done and all that kind of stuff. So that's been great. I have a big order coming in from Germany, hopefully next week. A bunch of stuff. One of the things I'm excited about is the... I guess I'll just wait and show it to you guys when it comes in. But it's a part that's been discontinued for a while. Again, now it's available again, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to show that to you guys maybe next week in the live stream. I'm just trying to think what else is going on right now. We're getting ready for my daughter's wedding next month, so that's good. And yeah, it's weird, Steve. A lot of places that normally get a lot of snow didn't really get much snow. And then Texas, of course, which this time of year they would probably be in the 50s and the 60s. They were down into the negative numbers and that kind of stuff. So it was really crazy. And but I'm glad that we avoided that here in New Jersey. I mean, we've been there. Believe me, we've had our time. Yeah, next time we're at 7 inches. Yeah, I mean we had about 4 inches here at one point, but just enough to the kids go outside and play and have some snow forts and all that kind of stuff. But that was about it on that. So if you come into the stream and you want to say hi, please say hi in the chat. We'll be glad to answer any of your burning Vanagon questions that you have. We'll be glad to do that. I'm just trying to think what was been going on this week. We've just been, helping different customers around the world with different things. One of the big questions people keep asking me is, do we have Vanagon window seals in stock? Yes, we do. Okay, we have Vanagon window seals in stock for the front windows, for the back windows, the side windows, the door windows, all that stuff. We have them in stock and ready to ship out. If you want to buy them, you can go onto our website. We have them as in kit form. For the back window, all the side windows, we have them in kit form. For the front doors, windows, okay, all that good stuff. So, people call me every week and they say, I've been looking for this stuff for like a couple months, or I've had it on back order with another company for a couple months. And I'm saying, well, we've had it this entire time. So don't put window seals on back order somewhere else. Buy them from us. We're very similar on their pricing. Not exactly the same, but it's super easy to, price things low if you don't have any. And say, well, I'm going to have this one day eventually for the super low price. If you can wait 6 months for it, you can get it at that super low price. I would rather just have it and put it in and that kind of thing. All right, so good to see Patrick with us today. Giving him a shout out here. Like I said, if anybody comes in and they want to say hi in the chat, I will give you a shout out in the chat. I'm trying to think what else is going on this week. I got a bunch of used parts that I got to get rid of. and I'm trying to clean out this other shop I have out here. This was my shop where we did a lot of mechanic work. I don't really do much of that right now. I'm going to try to start doing some more videos, and I'll be using part of it, like one bay for that. But the other bay I'm going to try to clean out, and then I'm going to start storing more parts in there because, you know, we're getting more and more of the body panels, window seals, exhaust system parts, and all that stuff just takes up a ton of space and room. And when you look on my shelves here, they're all basically busting with parts. And I try to keep it that way because I never know, you know, when somebody's going to call me and say, I need a lot of stuff. I had one guy in Canada a few weeks ago. He's like, I need 60 of the chrome plastic window trims that goes around the windows. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I need 60. I'm like, I have 30 here at the moment, and I can get 30 more from Europe. Okay, yep, do that. You know, so I mean, I've had people call me and say, I need, you know, 20 each turn signals. I need 30 each turn signals. I need 40 each turn signals. I need 20 sliding door handles. I need 20, you know, front door handles. I mean, just, you know, it's shops, and they're actually buying them from me sometimes and reselling them online. That's fine with me. Okay, so I have to be ready for this stuff. So, like I said, the things are all packed as much as possible with parts, so we can get the stuff out. Coolant hoses, I got full sets of them. And again, you have to have it so you can sell it. But I need a little bit more space. I have this whole other building. And I think I'm going to put some more racks up in there. Maybe block off one bay of that. And turn that into more part storage so I can expand and have even more stuff. Okay? But, you know, we try to do that to have it ready for you guys because you never know. Oh, okay, I was watching a video this week. One of my guys that comes on the chat a lot is a guy named Jackbox. He is from the UK, and he has been encouraging me, let's say it that way, to watch a streamer named Musty. Have you guys ever heard of this guy, Musty? And so this week he did a video about traveling from Florida to, I think it was Michigan or someplace like that, with an 87 Vanagon camper. And so I watched that this week. You know, he gets a lot of views on his videos. I have to try to figure out how and why. And basically his videos are not much different than what I try to do, but of course he doesn't just limit himself to Vanagons. He does all kinds of different other things. So, you know, see what you think about Musty if you get a chance to watch that video on his channel. I watched it, and then I tried to send him some recommendations for, you know, fixing the van and stuff. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. I even sent him a thing saying, hey, do you want to do a collab or something? We'll see what happens. All right. So Patrick says, do I offer a complete master automatic transmission kit? I actually do not. I'm not sure. There used to be a place called Bulk Parts that you could buy those pretty easily, and they weren't expensive. But that website went down a while ago. So I haven't really came up with a new supply for that. I think if you go on Rock Auto, they do sell master kits for that. So maybe that would be a place to look. One other thing I found out this week, which was weird. How many of you guys have ever heard of a website called EIS Parts? Have you guys ever heard of that? They mostly do bus parts. And occasionally when I was looking for a bus part, I would go to EIS Parts and look on there for it to see if I could find it, or, you know, at least see like how much they're charging for it or something like that. And I went on there this week to look for a part, or look at a part, and I found out that they have a thing on their site that says their site is like in maintenance mode. Okay, and so then it says below that their warehouse burnt down and all their inventory burned up, and they don't know when they will be back online again. They're in the Los Angeles area. I looked it up online. They're in Los Angeles area, and I looked and searched online. I couldn't find any information about anybody that knew about this. Like, it says it right on their website. When you go on their site and click on it, it says they had a fire and they lost all their inventory. But I haven't seen anybody mention it in any of the forums or on Facebook or on anything. So, I mean, have you guys heard about this at all? It's kind of strange to me that nobody's talking about it. But I sent them a message saying, hey, if you guys need me to help you with anything, just let me know. You know, I don't know exactly what I could do to help them, but, you know, we live in a small community here. I mean, if I can be a help, because I would hate to have something like that happen to me. I tell you what, that would be a nightmare. So anyway, so that was something that happened. Also, I was watching a trailer today. There's a movie, or I don't know if it's a movie or a TV show, that's coming on Netflix. It's called The Tribes of Europa. And I have no idea if this show or whatever is going to be any good or not. Okay, I'm not actually endorsing it or whatever you want to say. But in the trailer, at the very beginning of the trailer, if you get a chance to watch the trailer for Tribes of Europa on Netflix, it looks like the man is driving a post-apocalypse Vanagon. Okay, it is a German show, and the people are speaking a mixed in German and English and stuff in the show, in the trailer. But if you get a chance to check out Tribes of Europa, it's coming out today, I think, actually, on Netflix. And you may see a post-apocalypse rigged-up Vanagon on that. I might watch that just to see, right, what's going on with Tribes of Europa. Is there any other shows or movies you guys would recommend that has Vanagons in the movie? There was a show on Amazon not too long ago that I started watching that was about this young girl who, it was very similar to the Bourne Identity, except it was a young girl who was this, had been trained to be a fighter from a young person and all this other stuff. I can't remember the name of the show, but there was a part, like, not too far into the show, like maybe episode 3 or 4, where she met up with this family that was traveling in Europe in a Vanagon Westie, and she wound up riding with them in this Vanagon, and then it broke down. It was funny. Then it broke down, like, in the middle of nowhere, and they had to fix it, and then, they continued on. I was like, wow, you're going to make this part of the show? Okay. The Vanagon breaks down. Part of the show. But, yeah, you just never know. I can't remember the name of that show, though. If I look it up on Amazon, let me look it up on there real quick so I can do it while you guys are messing. If anybody has any questions for me, please let me know. Please put it in the chat, and I will be glad to talk to you guys and answer your burning Vanagon questions. We're here to answer them. That's one of the reasons why we're on here. Alright, it's not The Expanse, I know that. I'm trying to remember the name of the show. It bothers me now that I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Let's see here. I'm going to go back and see if I can find it. It's been a long time since I started watching it. Not The Vast of Night, nope. Not Knives Out. Oh my gosh. I keep thinking Alias, but that is definitely not it. I can't find it. I'll think about it in a little bit. Alright, so we've got Jimmy DeWalt. Alright, he says, thoughts on pulsing RPM issue when RPMs are low and are at idle. A lot of times that has to be... yeah. A lot of times that usually is vacuum related. So I would definitely check that. The problem you have, sometimes your vacuum leaks can be from the throttle body itself. So you'll wind up with a leak that's coming around like the shaft of the throttle body. So you would check all your vacuum lines for cracks, leaks, okay? And then if you can't find anything that way, I would suspect the throttle body itself and just kind of check that out, clean it, and that kind of stuff. Now also, you want to also make sure that your throttle position switch is set correctly. I have a video on doing that, so you take a look at that. If that's set correctly and your idle control unit is working right, then it's most likely a small vacuum leak that's causing that problem. Yeah, Patrick, I know what you're saying. They definitely were using the Vanagon trope in that show. It's kind of funny. I mean, a lot of creative people own Vanagons. Okay, I know. In the years I've been doing this, I've actually met a lot of people in the entertainment industry. People who are movie makers, people who are filmmakers, people who worked in the film industry for many, many years. And a lot of them own Vanagons or own some kind of Volkswagen van at some point in time. And so, yeah, that's why when you look at movies and stuff, a lot of times in the background you're going to see a Beetle, you're going to see, some kind of bus, okay? And it's because those people, had those cars, and they still do. So Jimmy says, I have a 1.9 Westie. It's hard to find a replacement drive-by. It can be, but you can look around. A lot of people are changing out their engine, the 1.9 engine for 2.1, or they're changing it out for a Subaru or something like that. And you might be able to pick one up like on the Samba as a used one. That's what I would, take a look at. And, usually they're okay. Every once in a while you'll find one that's wore out because they were in some kind of dusty conditions and they wound up getting worn out because of too much dust getting by the air filter. So definitely check the Samba. Alright, Steve says, I may design a temperature tube bypass module for the air-cooled van. It works. I can trick the system and add more fuel while driving. Okay, it runs on a relay in reverse, so it still uses the original temp 2, but flick a switch and it defaults over to a potentiometer that grounds out for a fake temp reading. Wow, okay. So when you do that, when you go into like full richness mode, you're just getting like more power from the engine or what? I mean, one of the problems with getting too rich is you can have bogging and stuff like that sometimes. I mean, it was so slow today on the phone. Now people are trying to call me. Extra grad school. Okay, yeah, true. I mean, when I went to aircraft school, that was actually running rich was one of the ways you would cool down, an aircraft air-cooled engine. So, yep, same thing in a Vanagon. They also had water squirters. With some of the aircraft engine, they would squirt water into the cylinders. They would squirt it into the intake and cool the engine with that. They had a bunch of different ideas. Okay, only be used when climbing hills. Won't make it so rich that it bogs. Yes, it's probably a good idea on the air-cooled. Definitely. Because like you're saying, any extra cooling you can get on them is a help most of the time. Alright, so we have a lot of people on here. If you just came on, please come into the chat and say hi to us, and we will shout out to you. Like we had Jimmy DeWalt come in just recently, and we'll be glad to, just shout out to you guys and let you know, and let us know where you're at. If you're somebody that we haven't talked to before, tell us your location so we can know where you guys are. Okay, for squirters, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the aircraft industry, they've been doing different things for years and years and years to try to cool the engines better. One of my friends actually works at a local FISDO down in Atlantic City. He has been working for the FAA for 20 years. They've been working on this project to replace, low lead in aircraft. And, I don't know if you know this or not, but aircraft air-cooled engines require leaded fuel right, for anti-knock and to, lubricate the valves and all that kind of stuff in the engine. And for 20 years, they've been running this project that's funded by the FAA to eliminate lead in aircraft engines. But guess what? They have never found a good substitute for leaded fuel for aircraft engines. This is talking about reciprocating engines. This is talking about, kind of like a bus type engine. And that's what all small aircraft still use to this day. And so, they did all kinds of experiments. They've spent, I don't know how much money. They still haven't came up with a solution. And they actually test engines to destruction there. They have a test cell. They'll run them until they fail, and then they take them apart and see why did they fail. All right, so we've got Alamo Plum, and I guess he's in San Francisco. It says SF. So shout out to you. So I mean, the engine that Steve is using in his van, that's still the go-to engine for small aircraft, light aircraft to this day. They're still using carburetors in a lot of them, and they are still using leaded gasoline in them. Okay, so the technology is still the same as it was. In some ways, the same as it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. All right, then we've got Dave Malpass, 82 Westy in upstate New York. Okay, good to have Dave with us today. If you guys are coming on, you have any questions for us, please feel free to ask. I'm just trying to think of what's been going on this week. Like I said earlier, people were asking me about window seals, and we definitely have window seals for your Vanagon in stock. If you need window seals, let me know. I'm starting to get more and more metal, okay, repair metal. Okay, so if you're going to do a big restoration project and you say, I need, this body panel, that body panel, I can usually get it. They're actually, I'm seeing more and more body panels being reproduced. There's one company in the UK, seems like they're doing a good job on making replacement body panels. And they try to make them up to the standards of, the original standards are very well made. So Christopher Nelson, he says 1991 ECU. We have them in stock. We have rebuilt ones in stock for $250 plus $100 core charge. Or actually, it's $200 core charge now because people haven't been sending me their cores back. Now, the ones that we sell, some people have recently been asking me about ECUs. Do I have D versions? Okay. Sometimes I do have D versions. So if you really want a D ECU, you got two options. You can send me your D ECU and I'll have it rebuilt for you. Or I'll see if I have one. If I do, I'll sell that to you. The reason why is that the D version has a chip that you can replace. And there's a guy who is selling the chip that when you go to full wide open throttle, it immediately goes to full richness. Okay, so he's saying that when you go to wide open throttle, it usually waits 30 seconds before it goes to full richness. With this chip that you can change out, but only in the D version, right, of the ECU, you can actually go to wide open throttle immediately. Okay, so I was looking on the Samba today about this exact question, and the funny part is the guy who's selling the chip, I didn't realize that he's the guy who rebuilds the ECUs for me. So, so if you decided like, hey, I have a D version of this chip, I want my ECU like rebuilt, and also want this chip put in, let me know. I can actually get that, ECU rebuilt for you, and I can get it even chipped, because the guy who's doing the chips is the same guy that's rebuilding it. And I haven't even he never even told me. Okay. Now the other thing I want to say, Patrick. So that's the only version that you can get chipped. Okay. So 80 probably 89 to 91. They had the D version of the ECU. I have some ECUs here. Let me go grab one real quick. So like this one here, this is like the regular version. Okay, this is just an 022 plain. This one you would not be able to chip it because it doesn't have a EEPROM thing in it. It's like all soldered on there, and as far as I know, it's not replaceable. Okay, the D version usually has like a gold sticker on it. It says 022D on it. Okay, that one you would be able to do the chip on. Now, as far as my own personal thing of it, I really do not have a donut. I want a donut now. Okay. I do not have an opinion of it myself. Now, I'm going to show you something else weird here. This ECU here, okay, is for 1.9, okay, but this is a 021G, I think. It's hard to see because it's kind of faded and somebody wrote bucks on here or whatever. But this model here, where it has these fins on the bottom, okay, that's how you can kind of tell. This is for an 83 to 85 1.9 DigiJet, okay, and you can see it says DigiJet right here. But this actually is the performance version of the DigiJet that was built for this DigiJet engine called a DJ. I don't know if you guys have heard of that or not. It was actually a 2.2 water boxer that had a DigiJet system on it, but it was a DJ. Okay, and so I have been randomly getting these in as well. Again, I usually try not to sell these to people unless they request it. And it's supposed to be a higher performance version of the DigiJet ECU. So that would be 83 to 85. So again, if you want to, so you put in an order online for a rebuilt ECU, and you say, I would like to have a performance one for 81.9. I mean, if I have one, I'll send it to you. No extra money. If you want to have a 2.1 and you want to have a chip put in it, you can either send me your D version or ask me if I have a D version. I actually have a D at the rebuilder right now getting rebuilt, and he can put a chip in it for you, and it'll just be for whatever the chip winds up costing. Let me see how much they cost right now. I actually was looking at it earlier today, and I forget how much it cost, but they're out there. Let's see here. I still have to talk to the guy too to see if there's any extra cost of installing a chip for the person, but I wouldn't think there would be. Let's see here. The chip is actually $100. Okay. So let's see what he says here about. Yep. Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal to install it yourself, but he could also, like I said, if it's at the rebuilders, he could probably install it. So yeah, so Chris, if you want that mod, you know, like I said, you could let me know if you want to have your ECU rebuilt at the same time. Probably be a good idea. Okay. Because they do fail. Okay, the later ECUs, they do fail. They have issues with. Oh, okay. Yeah, your thing says 1983, so I got confused by that. You know, the later ECUs, they do fail. They have problems with solder joints. All the Digifont ECUs have problems with bad solder joints, and then they also have problems with resistor issues and things. So when the guy rebuilds them, he goes through, he replaces all the resistors, and he resolders everything and all that kind of stuff. So, yep, I mean, I'm glad, Chris, I actually saw this today. I was looking through the Samba, trying to preemptively buy some core ECUs, and I just happened to see the chips, and some other people had just asked me about it last week. And so I'm like, well, let me see what this guy says. And yep, he's this guy who rebuilds my ECUs. It's so weird that he hasn't mentioned it to me, you know. So it's so strange. Okay, so let me think. Anything else that's going on right now in the Vanagon world? This one's a metal box. Yeah, so any of them that had the metal box body, that's usually always a 1.9 Digifont or Digijet version. Usually, right? Unless it's inside a black metal box. That's just the cover for the later ones. Okay. I'm just trying to think if there's anything new and exciting that I've already got here on the shelf. I've been struggling with Eurovan parts. That has been a struggle lately. People have been restoring them and calling me for all kinds of things. And actually, Bus Depot, one of the guys that works there, has basically been referring people to me whenever they need Eurovan stuff. And it's not easy finding stuff for the Eurovan. Like, we started doing this 20 years ago. Probably about 15 years ago, I bought 2 Eurovans because I thought, hey, Vanagon's nice. The Eurovan is newer. Maybe it's nicer, right? And so I bought 2 of them. And I fixed them up. And I drove them for a while. And I bought another one. So I bought 3, I think, total. And I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. And on top of that, they were extremely rusty. And they started basically rusting to bits on me. And so at the end of the day, instead of selling them, I wound up parting them out because they got so rusty and they were just, I don't know. And they had issues with the transmission clunking and all this other stuff. But even back then, it was like hard to get parts for them. Like, I would get a part for my Vanagon and it would take me a couple days to get it. I had to get a part for my Eurovan and it would take at least a couple weeks to get it. And the dealer would be like, oh, we're going to have to order from Germany, you know, and this was whatever. And so now, fast forward to, 2021, it's very hard to find anything for Eurovans, especially really any of the years, because the earlier years, they had issues with the fact that in Europe, mostly they sold diesels, right? And then, and here we got gas versions. We got the 2.5. Then when we got to the VR6, right, again, in Germany, they had turbo diesels. And they didn't get VR6s. So now, people need VR6 parts. They don't have any over there because they never sold it. Okay? So Dave is saying, what's the best option for seam rust under utility panels? Or under utility stuff panels or fix? I mean, it depends on how bad it is. Like, I've had seam rust before that was just starting to bubble out, and I've cleaned it out with a Dremel tool and just kind of got some stuff in there, some anti-rust stuff, and painted it and stuff, and it's held up pretty good. And then I've seen stuff that's so bad that pretty much the only way to fix it is to cut it out and put new panels in and stuff. So the worst part about seam rust under the outlets is that it's actually worse on the inside by a factor of 10 than it is on the outside. So, it's bad. It's worse. And so once you, treat it on the outside, you're not really treating the source. Okay. I've got Chris Coral Aloha. Good to have him with us. Says, my 87 GL tin top has been sitting in my garage for the last 5 years. I need a 2.1 rebuild kit. I'm too poor to swap. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could put together a kit of parts for you. Let me see. I have a list of stuff here that I use when people ask me about this. Let me pull it up real quick. And I try to update it as much as I can. Let's see here. When was the last time? It looks like I just recently updated it. Okay. So just the parts to rebuild a water boxer, it's around $2165.90. Now I will tell you something that just happened this week, which is that I just sold my last standard by standard 2.1 main bearings. Okay, so Kolbenschmidt, the company that makes the 2.1 water boxer main bearings, has stopped doing it. I'm pretty sure they're done. Okay, now this happened with the air-cooled engines. It happened with the 1.9 engines. Okay, and they got picked up by Molly, so I'm expecting that to happen at some point. And like the air-cooled engines, they got picked up by Molly. They got picked up by this Silverback, I think, is the other company. If I remember right, Silver something. But it might take a year or two for this to happen. But right now, as of right now, to my knowledge, the standard by standard Kolbenschmidt bearings are gone. Okay, they're out, and I'm out. I just sold my last 3 sets this week. I have some slightly oversized ones, but once I'm out of them, I'm out. And this is something that I actually saw coming. Like Go Westy actually panic bought like 20 something sets of these bearings off of me like several months ago, back in September. Okay, so they saw the handwriting on the wall that these things were, bearings was getting hard to get, and they grabbed a whole bunch of them. And I was grabbing them wherever I could. Now there's nowhere to grab them from. Okay, so for right now, if you're thinking about rebuilding your engine, you should go onto a website and try to buy some bearings. Don't come on my website and try to buy them because I'm out. Okay, so Jackbox, good to have him with us. What about GEX? Okay, so GEX is basically like rolling the dice. Most of the time, the dice land on crap. On craps or snake eyes. Okay. I don't know if that's the same thing or not. I've never actually played craps before. But, yeah, GEX. I have a friend that's in Belize and that invited me to come down, and, you know, I worked on his van while I was down there. And it's funny because the very first time I went down there to work on his van, which it was broken when I went down there, didn't run and all this other stuff. We had to get it back to being able to run. He had all this paperwork when he brought the van into Belize. He had all the paperwork, plus he had some receipts and things that he had did right before he had shipped it down there. And one of the things I saw in this paperwork was the little booklet that you get from GEX when you buy an engine from them. I was like, oh no. But I say all that, I'm not sure how many miles this engine now has on it. You know, for years and years, we were going down there for like 10 years, and we would drive this van, we would, you know, work on it, this and this and this. For probably about 8 of those years, the van would probably get less than 1,000 miles put on it a year, because the guy was never there. He was a captain of a yacht, and we were only there for like a week. And sometimes he would have other guests and friends that would drive the van, but you know, it was just like 10 miles here, 15 miles there, nothing like that. I would say the last 2 years, 3 years, his yacht got sold, and he has been living in Belize full time. He's probably put a lot more miles on it. I don't really know how the engine is holding up. So for him, that engine has held up decent. You know, maybe it's got 20,000 miles on it, 25,000 miles on it. It's still running, and it runs okay. But most people, I've heard so many horror stories about GEX, I would definitely not recommend it. I have another company that I do recommend called AVP Worldwide. I don't know if any of you guys have ever used them. Again, people have had, you know, issues with them as well, but they're more like minor issues than major issues. That's what I've found. Okay, so like ABP, I've had problems where they forgot to install an oil pressure sending unit, and I had to put one in, and I didn't find it I didn't discover it till there was like a oil leak or something, and I was like, oh, what's this? Oh, no oil pressure sender. Okay, well, put no oil pressure sender in. It wasn't not a big deal. See what I'm saying? Like, you get it, and yeah, they like to paint over everything. Yeah, I've never been a big painter. I like to clean it, and that's about it. But stuff like that. Stuff like that. So, Boston Engine you're talking about, I haven't used them in a long time. The guy who ran it was a friend of mine, and I used him for many years, and then he passed away. So, I haven't used them, but they could be good still. As far as I know, his helper that was working for him is running it now, I guess. I haven't talked to him in probably 8 years probably. So, we haven't been doing, as much mechanical work for the last 3 years, so that's another reason. But you could check with Boston Engine. They were never a budget rebuilder. They were always kind of a medium level, I guess you could say, rebuilder as far as price. I mean, back in the day they were like a high end rebuilder, but nowadays when you have Go Westy, they're probably like a medium level rebuilder. So you can give them a try. Alright, so that's about all I got on rebuilt engines. I can get you the parts, except for on a 2.1, right now, right this second, my main bearings are limited, okay, right now. So, but I think that's going to change. Probably in 6 months or so, we'll be able to get some again. It might not be Colvin Schmidt, it might be Molly or something. Whatever. Go Westy is cray. Yeah, Go Westy, they are expensive, and they have issues too, so that's the other thing. GEX does transmissions. Yeah, see, I don't know about that. I have a local guy who I actually trust to do transmission work for me. There's actually two guys. There's Matt Steedle. He's in not about an hour from me. And then there's another guy, Dave, that's like about half an hour from me, that I've used him for years and years to rebuild transmissions. Dave Transmissions in Vineland, New Jersey. And he is very well versed in automatic transmissions for the Vanagon. He's been doing those automatic transmissions for probably 20 years or more. Okay, he's really good at it. So that's the people I usually use. Alright, is there any other questions? Okay, I wouldn't use GEX. They like MP as well. Yeah. Yep. I'm not a super big MP fan either. I've had them call me and they're like, "Oh, you need to carry a whole bunch of our parts," and their parts are okay. If I don't have any other choice, I'll buy MP stuff. If I have a choice, I probably won't buy it. I've been using JP Group stuff lately. It seems like they really care about the reproduction of the parts. And so, yeah, I'm the same way, Chris. I've been in the Vanagon since around the same time, 1998. And, it way before it became cool. I didn't get into this to be cool. I got into this because I enjoyed it and I help people. So we got AA Transmission, Weddle, Matt Steedle, Rancho. Yep. MP exhausts are terrible. Yeah, they don't last too good. MP metal is poop. It rusts bad. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, have any of you guys ever tried? There's this one guy in Vietnam who makes stainless steel exhaust systems that are shiny ones. Go Westy stainless steel. If you buy that, you kind of get disappointed because you get it and then it just looks like a dull piece of steel. And you take a magnet and you stick it on it and it just sticks to it and everything. It's low grade stainless, and I understand why they use it that way. But there's a guy in Vietnam that makes these stainless steel exhaust systems for Vanagons and buses, and air-cooled Vanagons. And, yeah, wow. I mean, his stuff just looks so beautiful. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so we got. Chris says I had a great experience with MP in the '80s in Los Angeles, but all air cooled. I mean, I think MP used to be better than it is now. You know, before I came on the scene, they were big in the bug world. I think they, you know, they had their reputation was up here, and then they got to a certain point at some point, and they decided to start making like a lot of reproduction stuff in China, and the quality level just not really that good. But so CJ say, why is a Vanagon 89 distributor so hard to find? I don't know. I got them on my website. They're not. I have one on the shelf right here. It's not an original one. It's an aftermarket one, but you can definitely find it. Yeah, that's what I think happened. They got sold to another company, and the quality level went down. Like, people bought the name. So we got Blackhawk. He says, hello from Maui, 79 degrees F. Oh, don't brag, all right? Don't brag. I look at a YouTube feed every day from this place called Deerfield Beach in Florida. And it's always nice in there. It's like 79, today too, down there. Alright. Vintage speed. Okay. Yeah, I've never used vintage speed before. Chris says he lives in Florida, so, yep. It is no exhaust lasts. Yeah, if you live near the ocean, it doesn't help. Salt. Okay. Jackbox says he has a Kawasaki exhaust can on his, cost $30 to replace each time. Yep. So I should carry vintage speed? I'll have to take a look. I was thinking about carrying it, but it's not easy to get stuff. It's expensive. Okay, vintage speed. Okay, I'll have to take a look at them. I'll have to take a look. Yep. An 85 in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Okay. Yeah, I had a body guy that worked for me for a while. He moved to Cocoa Beach. I've always thought about maybe going down and saying hi to him. He was a character. But he made life interesting, I'll say that. And then he's like, I'm moving to Cocoa Beach, Kenny. I'm like, all right, well, I'm sorry to see you go. He was the best employee I ever had. Okay. Yeah, well, I've even seen, like, the system that's all stainless, and it eliminates the heater boxes, and it goes up against the heads, and so you're, like, getting rid of the heater boxes, and you're just, having, like, a more simplified exhaust system, so that you don't have to deal with the heater boxes. I mean, if you need heat, you need heat, but if you don't need heat, you could get rid of it. It's a drinking problem with a fishing problem. I mean, this guy liked to drink, so him moving to Cocoa Beach is probably good. Like, he would work for me, and he had a hidden, can of beer that he would hide while he was working. But what he didn't realize, is I had a older sister that was an alcoholic, so I know all the tricks. And, yeah, he wasn't fooling me at all. I mean, but he did nice work. He did very nice work. Okay, they draw away the heat from the engine. Not recommended. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is meant to the Bermuda Triangle. The whole system is, if you change one thing, you usually got to change 3 or 4 things. So I understand. They had the delete kit. Okay, by MP. Okay. Yes, I've been to Florida. We were in the Keys. It seemed like most of what people were doing was going to bars and bar hopping. I'm not really into that scene, so the Keys weren't really that exciting to me. They were actually kind of boring. I hate to say that, but it was like it wasn't too fun. Do I charge a core for the distributor? No, I do not. Because the distributors we got, let me see if I can grab one real quick. The distributors that we got are new. They are aftermarket. Okay. But I have had good luck with them. And this looks like that right there. It's brand new. So we don't need a core. It's not Bosch, but it works. So there you go. Yeah, my wife would love to move to Florida. And, it's crazy because my business, I could basically move my business anywhere that I would want. Because we're mail order. And we actually have quite a few customers in Florida too. Like, we probably have more customers in Florida than we do in New Jersey. I mean, when I go to do my New Jersey sales tax at the end of the month, or at the end of the quarter, because we're just doing mail order and stuff, and not doing the repairs. When we used to do repairs, we used to do a lot of sales tax. Because we're doing mail order, I might get in a quarter, I might get, depending on what quarter it is, in the wintertime, we're only going to get a couple orders a month from New Jersey because everybody's got their vans put away, and it's not nice enough to work on them. The weather's crappy. But in Florida, it's decent all year round. People work on their van all the time. So we get, orders from Florida like constantly. Like while I'm talking to you on this thing, I got this customer in Florida who's trying to text me about, did I send this or send that? Yeah, Jackbox was telling me about this. The VW Golf engine become a popular conversion in the UK. I guess parts are easier to find. Yeah, I mean, here in the U.S., it was a popular conversion for a while. The problem happened, I think, when we had a thing here called Cash for Clunkers. You guys remember that thing? And it was back around probably 2008. They did a Cash for Clunkers here in the U.S. That really killed off a lot of the used car market and killed off a lot of the 80s Volkswagens and 90s Volkswagens. Before that, we had a place here called You Pull It. You could go in there, you could walk through rows and rows of junk cars. They had them up on wheels that were welded together as stands. You could walk through there. You could find a car that you liked and strip it down, and then you walk to the front and they would charge you, $5 for this, $10 for that, $20 for this, all that kind of stuff. And it was really nice. I mean, I don't know how many days I spent in there. It was a lot of fun, okay? But when Cash for Clunkers came around, a lot of people got in on that, and they sold their oldish car to buy a new one, and a lot of those old cars disappeared. And when they bought them for Cash for Clunkers, they had some kind of mixture that they would put inside the engine, and it would basically destroy the engine, and then they would have big stickers on things saying, this engine is now destroyed, and blah, blah, blah. So, they, as far as I know, they never had a Cash for Clunkers program in the UK. Jackbox, don't vote for anybody that thinks that's a good idea. Because it's not. Okay, it's a way to pay off some cronies, but besides that, it's not a good plan. Okay, but Cash for Clunkers killed a lot of the inline fours that would have been available from Rabbits, Golfs, Jettas from the 80s and the 90s to go into the Vanagon. So, once that happened, at the same time, people started, getting more and more to the Subaru thing. And some of the Subarus actually had the California emissions, test certificate thing that they could use, CARB approval thing. So that kind of like rose to prominence after the Cash for Clunkers thing. All right, so Chris says box here swap is king, but pricey. Okay, I would agree with you on that. Very expensive. And I had a customer that had one done. Okay, he actually had it done at Boxier, and the guy that runs the place, he's he's a nice guy, I guess. I've never really dealt with him that much. But he was like, I'm only doing the engine. I don't want to do anything else. Okay? So, the car was a gas. Okay? He put the diesel engine in. He said, I'm just doing this. I'm putting the engine in. I'm hooking stuff up on the engine. I'm not going to hook up the air conditioning because I'm not getting into that. And I'm just going to do this. Then you can drive it. Okay. So what happened was, he didn't replace the gas tank, which was a mistake, and therefore he didn't reseal the gas tank. And he switched from gas to diesel. Okay. So the guy had this thing. He drove it up from where Boxier is, North Carolina, up to New Jersey, and he was driving it all around. He drove it here. I did a video on it. You guys may have seen that video looking at Boxier. And I was impressed by it. Very nicely done. And about a month later, the guy is messaging me. My motor has blown up. I'm like, what? Your motor has blown up? What are you talking about? Well, in the gas tank, there was 2 expansion tanks, right, in the wheel wells. The seals was leaking, and water got into the diesel fuel. And on that particular engine that the Boxier uses, if you have any water contamination whatsoever in your fuel and it gets into the motor, it can basically destroy the motor. Yeah. And that's basically what happened. So, because they didn't reseal the gas tank, the worst case scenario, not resealing the gas tank with a water boxer or with any other Vanagon I'm used to, is that, wow, it, doesn't, it runs bad or something, or you bogging, or it's, whatever. But on that particular engine, that TDI engine, that it cannot tolerate any water getting into that motor whatsoever from the fuel. And so, when that water got into that engine, it basically destroyed it. And he had to get a whole replacement engine. And I'm like, wow, I had no clue that this was even an issue with this. And this guy found out about this the hard way because he had to spend another, $5,000 or $6,000 on a whole nother engine. So, yeah. So, in other words, yeah, if you have a Boxier swap, it's great. Definitely change your gas tank. And definitely make sure your gas tank is fully resealed. And like Jackbox says, if there's some kind of a really nice filter system that's going between your gas tank and your engine, that makes sure there's zero water is getting into the fuel system, definitely get that too, because apparently that's a thing. Okay. Yeah, so that happened. Chris says Subi heads leak as well. Yes, they do. They also leak. It's a nicer engine though. I mean, power wise, right? It's more modern. Get better emissions out of it. The super ironic part is that just putting it in California, you still have to jump through hoops and everything about the emission side of it, even though it's definitely better than the water boxer. I've even had the California people, the California emissions people, flag people's vans because the vans were too good with emissions. They're like, oh, something's wrong with this van. Why? Your emissions is too low. Why would that be a red flag? Right? That'd be like, go to the doctor and the doctor says, you're too healthy. There's something wrong with you. We have to look into it more. We have to look into this. Okay? But that's the way the CARB in California works. Quote unquote works. I feel like it doesn't work. That's why I say that. So Daniel Simone says, hey Ken and all you Vanagoners. Okay? And it's good to have him here with us. I'm actually going to get ready to get off of the stream. We have had the most people on the stream ever, and I really thank you guys for that. If you guys can do me a favor, okay, please like this stuff. Please share it. Please subscribe. Okay. As of right now, we have over 3,800 subscribers on the channel. I would like to continue to increase that if we possibly can. We have 3,825 subscribers. Okay, so if we can get more subscribers, that would be great. Or just the likes, because the likes bump you up into a higher level, and they don't really cost you guys anything. You don't have to give us any money. You just push that button. That's it. So please do that. That'll help us get more subscribers, hopefully. And we're hoping to, get up to 4,000 subscribers soon. Be able to make the community even bigger. Okay, so Chris says, I get a couple of different OK Super Boxers locally. It's run what you brung in Florida. No emissions test at all. Should I go Subi? Is it cheaper to rebuild? It is cheaper to rebuild. It is cheaper. Unless you're going to do every single thing yourself, it's cheaper. If you can do it yourself and you get the Subaru car very cheap, then you might be able to get off cheaper with a Subaru conversion, but not by much. Okay, and it's so it's up to you. If you're going to do all the work and you want to do a wiring harness and you want to do this and that, then a Subaru, you might be able to get it to where it's similar in price to doing all the work yourself and doing a rebuilt water boxer. Maybe not. Okay, that's fine. The other issue with the Subaru, I've talked about this a few times, and I'll say this and get off. Really get every single thing in one place. So it's you have to again sit down and go through the different suppliers and see where you can get everything, and then price it all together. Okay, so definitely do that as well. All right, and then Daniel says that he's in Allentown. He's been buried to snow up to the grill. All right, guys, so I guess we are getting a swirly here for some reason. I'm not sure if we're still working or not working. I just installed a brand new... There we go. I just installed a brand new modem. I thought that was going to help us here. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Alright, so Chris says, my poor baby, she is sad and lonely in the garage. Yep, well, hopefully you'll be able to get that soon and be able to get that back on the road. Alright, so that's it, guys, for this week. Thanks for coming out and being with us. Next week, hopefully I'll do another live stream on Friday around the same time, around 4 o'clock. And I got hopefully I will have some brand new parts that are fresh off the presses that just got made, just got reproduced. People can get excited about, and we will see you guys in the next one. So I hope you guys get more smiles per gallon. We'll see you guys next week, and thanks for coming out and being with us this week.